Hello children, we are going to discuss today in this video the phenomenon of refraction through curved surfaces. We dealt with extensively this concept in the earlier videos, the first 3 videos, including total internal reflection and optical fibers also. Now we are actually going to see how the refraction will take place through a curved surface, and the curved surface can be either a convex surface or a concave surface, right? Now, refraction through a curved surface will be the topic. Refraction through a curved surface. Now children, we are going to see refraction through curved surfaces, and a curved surface can either be a convex curved surface or a concave curved surface, right? Now we are going to see, before I start with this, I want you to understand that this will be a convex surface. This will be the pole P, and you have done the sign convention. All the distance are measured from the what? Pole. Or we can have here a concave surface. And this will be the pole P. Clear? For the convex surface out here, the center of curvature is going to be on the right, and the concave surface, the center of curvature is going to be on the left. Clear? Now, I want you to understand clearly that for drawing normal at any point on the curved surface, suppose here at this point I want to know what will be the direction of the normal. So, it will be simply what? Obtained by joining the given point with the center of curvature. This will be the normal. Similarly, suppose at this point, and this is center of curvature. So, this will be the normal. Clear? So, a normal will be actually the radial line which will be joining a point on the curved surface with the center of curvature. Be very clear about this. And the next thing we need to understand is sign convention, because we are going to use it, sign convention all the time. Remember, all the distance will be measured from the pole, right? Pole can be taken as origin. This is the pole P or O. As you measure distances on the right, this side, on the right distance is taken as positive. On the left, distance will be taken as negative. So, as I measure to the right, this side and this side distance will be taken as what? Positive. This side and this side distance will be taken as what? Negative. Similarly, again here, distance above will be taken as positive, and distance below will be taken as negative. So, you can see this sign convention is same as the Cartesian sign convention which you have done in lower classes in coordinate geometry. Distance on the right will be positive, left will be negative, above will be positive, below will be negative. And remember, we will keep the source of light on the left, then only this convention will be right. Okay? And you know, a real image is obtained when the rays actually meet at a point, and a virtual image obtained when rays appear to meet at a point. Clear? A real image can be projected on a screen, and a virtual image cannot be projected on a screen. So, you know these basic conventions and definitions already. So, once again, we will be measuring distance from the pole. Distance on the right will be positive, left will be negative. Above will be positive, below will be negative. Let us see it here. Right is positive, left is negative. Above is positive, below is negative. Similarly, in case of concave lens, concave surface, right is positive, left distance is negative. Above is positive and below is negative. So, I am sure you understood the sign convention. Okay? Refraction through a convex surface. We are going to discuss refraction through a curved surface, and there will be 2 cases here. Case 1 is when object is in rarer medium And case 2, when object is in denser medium. So we're going to do the first one when the object is in the rarer medium. The ray is travelling from rarer to denser, meaning refraction is taking place in the which medium? Denser medium. And object is travelling from denser. When the object is in rarer medium, object is in denser medium. The rarer medium means denser to rarer, rarer to denser. First case is rarer to denser, and the second case is denser to rarer. And you know, whenever we have a ray travelling from rarer to denser, refraction is taking place in the denser medium. Denser to rarer, refraction is taking place in the rarer medium. When refraction is taking place in a denser medium, the ray will be bending towards the normal. In this case, the ray will be bending away from the normal. Clear? I hope you understood this concept. So we are doing case 1. Case 1 now. I will rub this as you have noted down already. It is in the rarer medium. I can also say like this, when the reflection takes place in the denser medium. So children, here we have a convex refracting surface which is curved. Obviously it is curved out here. This is pole P, and we have object O here at a point on the principal axis. Obviously, see, the center of curvature of this convex curved surface is where? On the right. C. Clear? We consider two rays. So remember, this is rarer and this is denser. The refracting index of the surrounding medium is mu1, and refracting index of the medium is mu2. Clear? This is our convex surface which is going to cause refraction. I am going to take two rays. The first ray I am taking through the pole. Actually, this ray is along the normal, so it will go straight. Yes, I am taking another ray which is incident obliquely at a certain angle. Now see children, this is the incident ray, the second ray, and I taught you the trick. I will have to know the normal at this point, and for knowing the normal, what I will do? I will join it with the center of curvature here. This is the normal. I will make it dotted. Okay, so this is normal. Now the ray is travelling from rarer to denser. What will happen to the ray? It will bend towards the normal. So ray is bending towards the normal here. And now children, you can see the first ray travelling through the pole and the second ray bending towards the normal. They are together meeting at a point I on the principal axis. Now the two rays are actually meeting at point I. Therefore, point I becomes a real image. Point I is what? Real image. This will be angle of incidence, because you know the angle made by the incident ray with the normal is called angle of incidence. Angle made by the refracted ray with the normal is called angle of refraction. So this will be R. And then we will be making some more assumptions. I will take this angle as alpha, I will take this angle as beta, and I will take this angle as gamma. Clear? Now by convention, all the distances should be measured from the pole. Therefore, what I will do, I draw a normal here. Let us name these points. This is M and this is N. We will draw a normal Mn on the principal axis and we will assume that this point N is very close to P. Point N and P are almost coincident, so that instead of measuring from P, I can measure from N, or instead of measuring distance from N, I can measure from P. Okay. So let us write down whatever assumptions we have made. Let P and N are coincident. So we have written all these points. Let angle of incidence is I, angle of reflection is R, and I is the real image of the object O, and mu 2 is more than mu 1, and then Mn is perpendicular to the principal axis such that points P and N are coincident. Clear? Now children, when I look at these angles, so you can see here that I will be equal to how much? Alpha plus beta. Why? External angle is equal to sum of the internal angles. So here I will be writing I is equal to alpha plus beta. This is equation 1. Again, when I look at angle beta, then angle beta will be equal to what? R plus gamma. This is because of internal angle. Again, beta is equal to how much of? R plus gamma. R plus gamma. So how much is R, children? R will be equal to beta minus gamma. This is also because of same regions. Beta is equal to R plus gamma. So R is equal to beta minus gamma. Once I got this beautiful relation, then I say using Snell's law. If I use Snell's law, children, then sin I by sin R will be how much here? Mu 2 by mu 1. Sin I divided by sin R is equal to mu 2 by mu 1. Clear? The ray is going from mu 1 to mu 2. Alright. So sin I by sin R is equal to mu 2 by mu 1. And again, you know, from trigonometry, you see, this angle I will not be very large. Angle I is very small. Angle R is also very small. For small angles that you measure in radian, sin theta is nearly equal to sin theta. So I will be saying for small angles, sin theta is nearly equal to theta. Keep this approximation in mind. Then sin I can be written as I and sin R can be written as R. Remember, I and R will be taken in this case in radians, not in degrees. So therefore, I can say I by R is equal to mu 2 by mu 1, and by cross multiplying I into mu 1 will be equal to R into mu 2. This is equation 3. So I got the relations here for I and R. I equals alpha plus beta and R is equal to beta minus gamma. So substituting the values of R, putting the values of I and R, children, how much do you get? Alpha plus beta into mu 1 is equal to how much is R? Beta minus gamma. Put this value, beta minus gamma mu 2, and then we just expand it. We open the bracket. So what do we get? Alpha mu 1 plus beta mu 1 is equal to beta mu 2 minus gamma mu 2. I will bring this gamma term on the left, so it becomes positive, and I will take beta term on the right. So what do you get, children? Alpha mu 1 plus gamma mu 2 is equal to beta mu 2 minus beta mu 1. But in these two terms, what is common? Beta is common. Okay. So we simplify. We can write this as gamma mu 2 plus alpha mu 1 is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 into beta. Now children, I got this equation in terms of angles. For small theta, there are two relations. One is sin theta is equal to theta. Again, tan theta is also equal to theta. So here I will be writing for small angles, theta is nearly equal to tan theta. So this approximation, to remember, here I have used theta is equal to sin theta, and here I am using theta is equal to tan theta. So I can replace gamma with tan gamma, alpha with tan alpha, and beta with tan beta. If I do so, then what do I get? Mu 2 tan gamma plus mu 1 tan alpha equals to mu2 minus mu1 tan beta. Clear? And then we substitute the values of alpha, beta and gamma. Tan of gamma will be how much? Mn divided by Ni. Tan of beta is equal to Mn divided by Nc. And tan alpha is equal to Mn divided by No. Right? Let's place these values out here. Tan gamma mu2 into tan gamma will be equal to Mn divided by Ni plus mu1 into tan alpha. Tan alpha will be Mn divided by No. mu2 minus mu1. How much will be tan beta, children? Tan beta will be Mn divided by Nc. And children, I will be dividing Mn from, I will be cancelling Mn from both sides. I will eliminate Mn. So, what do I get? mu2 by Ni plus mu1 by No is equal to mu2 minus mu1 divided by Nc. Now, children, we said that points N and P are what? Coincident. So, Ni, see, Ni is on the right, Ni will be same as Pi, there will be image distance V, PC is radius of curvature R, you will mark this clearly, and No or PO is object distance U. So, when you look at this, then R and V will be taken positive sign as they are on the right, and you will be taken with the negative sign as it is on the left. So, I will say here, I will modify N is same as P, N and P are coincident. So, in this equation, in place of N I can write P, so I will be writing mu2 by Pi plus mu1 by PO is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by Nc. And children, if you put the values, Pi is V, here we have Pi is equal to V, PO is minus U, and this is PC, PC is equal to R. Once again, distance on the right of the pole we have been taken as positive, and distance on the left of the pole have been taken as what? Negative. PC is R plus, there Pi is V plus because they are on the right, and PO is U negative because they are on the left. If you put these values out here, what do you get, children? mu2 by V plus mu1 by minus U is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. Or this equation can also be written as mu2 by V minus mu1 by U is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. So, this is the equation that we have for refraction through a curved surface. Now, this can be modified also actually. If you want, we can modify. If we divide both sides by mu1 divided by mu1. If we divide both sides by mu1, children, then what do we get is mu2 by mu1 by V minus mu1 by mu1 into U is equal to mu2 by mu1 minus 1 divided by R. Clear? And mu2 by mu1 is what? mu2 by mu1, children, is mu21, and let us say it is equal to mu. mu21 becomes mu, you know already, if 1 is air. Clear? then I can also modify this formula as mu by V minus 1 by U is equal to mu minus 1 by R. So remember, this formula can be used only when medium 1 is air. However, suppose I place this lens in another medium which is optically denser than air or which is not air, then I will not be able to use equation, this equation. I will be using which equation? This equation. Okay. So this is the equation for refraction through a convex curved surface when the object is in the which medium? Rarer medium. Okay. Okay. Now children, we saw refraction through a convex surface when the object was kept in rarer medium, optically rarer medium. Now, I will be seeing case 2 when the object is kept in a denser medium. Denser medium meaning, let us understand like this. This is the convex curved surface, and this is pole P, and the object is here. This is the convex curved surface, and the object is kept in the denser medium. So, if the object is kept in denser medium, then children, refraction is going to take place in what medium? Rarer medium, because the rays will be travelling from denser to the rarer medium. I take two rays. Center curvature is here. Center curvature is here C. I will take two rays. One ray from O is travelling through the pole. So, what will happen to this ray? This ray will go straight, undeviated. And take another ray which is incident here. Now, at this point I need to know the normal. Let us see. This is the normal. Now, children, this ray is travelling from rarer to denser to rarer medium. So, after refraction, it will have a tendency to bend away from the normal. So, this really bending away from the normal. And somewhere here, it will be meeting the first ray. It is important for you to know that the ray is travelling from denser to rarer medium, will be bending away from the normal. This will be angle of incidence I, and this will be angle of refraction R. Clear? Take this angle as alpha, take this angle as beta, and take this angle as gamma. Now, refractive index at denser medium is mu2, as you have already taken earlier, and the rarer medium is mu1. I am saying to the diagram once again. We have a convex refracting surface here which is curved, and then P is pole of the curved surface. Center curvature obviously will be on the left in this case, C, and the object is here O. Two rays are being taken. One is through the pole, it will go straight, undeviated, and the other one is incident obliquely, it will be bending away from the normal. So, these two rays are meeting at point I, so I becomes a real image in this case. Clear? This is point M, like before. For point M, I am dropping a perpendicular PN, MN, and I am assuming that points N and P are coincident, are they very close, because distance will be measured from point P and not from point N. Okay, so let's write about these assumptions. Let so we have written about this. Angle of incidence, refraction I and R respectively. Refractive index of the refracting medium is mu2, and surrounding medium is mu1, and your answer here is mu2 is more than mu1. Okay, density rarer in this case, and I is the real image of point object O. I is real image of object O. Now children, what I am going to do now, I am going to use Snell's law. Using Snell's law, sin I by sin R will be equal to mu1 by mu2. Remember, we will be interchanging mu1 and mu2. It is going from 2 to 1. So, refractive index of medium 1 with respect to medium 2. Clear? Again, like before, for small angles, sin theta is nearly equal to theta. Same approximation that we used before. Then I by R will be equal to mu1 by mu2, which implies that I mu2 is equal to R mu1. This is equation 1. So children, once you got this relation I mu2 is equal to R mu1, I have to translate I and R in terms of angles alpha, beta and gamma. Clear? Now when I look at these angles, children, beta will be equal to how much? Alpha plus I. Why? Because beta is external angle. So beta is equal to, we have I plus alpha. So how much is I? Beta minus alpha. And then we have to calculate how much is R. R will be equal to how much? Beta plus gamma, because R is again external angle. Again I will say R is equal to beta plus gamma. This is equation 3. So you know the values of I, R, and I have a relation here between angles IR and mu2 and mu1. If I substitute these values, so therefore from equation 1, I is how much? Beta minus alpha. So what do we get, children? We get beta minus alpha into mu2 is equal to R. R is equal to beta plus gamma. Beta plus gamma into mu1. Clear? Now if you open this bracket, what do you get? Beta mu2 minus alpha mu2 is equal to beta mu1 plus gamma mu1. I will take this beta term on the right and I will bring this gamma term on the left. So if I do so, what do I get? Minus beta mu2 minus beta mu1, beta mu2 minus beta mu1 is equal to, take it on the right, is equal to, we have alpha mu2 plus gamma mu1. Clear? And this relation can be written as also alpha mu2 plus gamma mu1 is equal to, on the right beta is common, mu2 minus mu1 into beta. And children, will be doing the same approximation that we did before, that for small angle tan theta is equal to theta. So again here I will be writing here, for small theta, theta will be nearly equal to tan theta. Clear? That means alpha can be replaced with tan alpha, gamma can be replaced with tan gamma, and beta can be replaced with tan beta. So if we replace, what do we get? mu2 tan alpha plus mu1 tan gamma is equal to mu2 minus mu1 tan beta. And children, we substitute the values. Tan alpha, children, is mn divided by no, mn divided by no, plus mu1 into tan of gamma. Tan of gamma will be mn divided by ni equals to mu2 minus mu1. How much tan beta, children? Tan beta is mn divided by nc. Now looking at this equation, you can see that you can cancel out mn from both sides. If I take out mn from both sides, then what am I left with? I am getting mu2 by no plus mu1 by ni is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by nc. Now points n and p are coincident, so I can replace n by what? P. So I can rewrite this equation as mu2 by po plus mu1 by pi is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by pc. What I did, I just replace all n by p, because actually we are supposed to measure distance from p and not from n, right, because p is the pole. Now let us see the distances. PO is on the left, so it is negative. And how much is PO, children? PO here is u, and it is on the left, so it is negative. So I will be writing here PO is equal to minus u. Next is PI. PI is on the right, so it is plus. PI is equal to plus V. And then we have PC. PC is on the left, so it is negative minus R, radius of curvature. So if I substitute all these distances in this equation, then what do I get? mu2 by PO. PO is minus u plus mu1 by V is equal to mu2 by mu1 by minus R. Then what do I do now is, I will multiply both sides minus 1. If I multiply both sides by minus 1, then what will happen? The sign will change. So it will be mu2 by u minus mu1 by v is equal to mu1 minus mu2 by r. So when you study this equation closely, you will find that compared to the previous equation, when the object was in the rarer medium, actually mu1 and mu2 have been interchanged. Mu and mu2 have been what? Interchanged. That's the only difference. If I replace mu1 by mu2 and mu2 by mu1, I will get this equation. Alright. So now children, this was refraction on a convex curved surface when the object is placed in a denser medium. Right. In other words, when the refraction is taking place in the rarer medium. And I am sure you understood, go through entire derivation, there will be numericals also based on this. So we will be seeing in fact now the next case, which will be refraction through a concave surface. Okay. Now children, we will be seeing refraction through a concave curved surface, refraction through a concave curved surface. Okay. How this refraction will take place? And like before, first the object will be in the rarer medium. So here we have children concave curved surface. This is pole P. So obviously you can see that the center of curvature of this pole will be lying on the what? Left. So suppose the center of curvature is here, C. Refractive index of the surrounding medium is mu1 and the refracting surface is mu2. Alright. Now this is your concave refracting surface. Object is O, which is here. right? I can take closer here, the diagram will be more compact. O. Take two rays traveling from O like we saw before. One is through the what? Pole. So this ray is going to go straight. There will be no deviation. And now take another ray which is obliquely incident. This ray is incident obliquely. Now this is normal. Normal, you know, is always radial here. This is normal. So this ray which is incident obliquely here, incident obliquely on the concave curved surface after reflexively bending towards the normal is going from rarer to denser. So bending somewhat like this. It's gone up like this, and this is normal. If I extend backwards, so you can see this is the image that I am getting. Clear? And then you can see here in this case very well that I will be a virtual image, because the rays are appearing to meet at I. Okay? This will be angle of incidence. This angle of incidence I. This is angular reflection R. Clear? Now if this angle is R, okay, R is angle between this ray and this ray, so this angle is also going to be equal to how much? R. Clear? And the angles here we are taking, this angle is alpha, this angle is beta, and this angle is gamma. Alright? This point like before we will take M. From M we will draw perpendicular. The perpendicular is MN. How much is this angle? 90 degree. And we will assume that points M and N are coincident. So basically our assumption is the same that we have got before. The refracting index of the surrounding medium is mu1, and that of the refracting medium is mu2, and obviously mu1, mu2 is more than mu1. Okay? So we'll say here, let virtual image. Now here Mn is perpendicular to the axis, where M and N are very close, almost coincident. Once I answer these assumptions, I am going to use what? Snell's law. Using Snell's law, sin I divided by sin R is equal to mu2 by mu1. Clear? And we know for small angle, sin theta is nearly equal to theta. Okay? So I can replace sin I with I and sin R with R. So this shows that I by R is equal to mu2 by mu1. So this shows that I mu1 is equal to R mu2. This is equation 1. I mu1 is equal to R mu2. Now, like before, I will be translating the values of I and R in terms of alpha, beta and gamma, these small angles. If I look at this angle, whole angle is how much of I. Gamma is going to be equal to what? I plus alpha. Gamma equals to I plus alpha. So, what is the reason here? External angle. Gamma is equal to I plus alpha. So, how much is I? I is equal to gamma minus alpha. This is equation 2. Similarly, children, again gamma is going to be equal to r plus beta. Again gamma is equal to r plus beta. So r is going to be equal to how much? Gamma minus beta. So I got the values of I and r in terms of angles alpha, beta and gamma. Once again we will see gamma is external angle for I and alpha. So gamma is equal to I plus alpha. Again when you look at the smaller triangle out here, then gamma is equal to how much? R plus beta. So from here I get I is equal to gamma minus alpha and r is equal to gamma minus beta. Now with these values of I and r, I will go to equation 1, and equation 1 says what? I into mu 1 is equal to r into mu 2. Therefore, we will go back to equation 1. From equation 1 now, children, we have I mu 1 and I is equal to how much? Gamma minus alpha. So gamma minus alpha mu 1 is equal to gamma minus beta mu 2. Now I simplify this. Gamma mu 1 minus alpha mu 1 is equal to gamma mu 2 minus beta mu 2. I will take this gamma term on the right and I will bring this beta term on the left. So what do we get? Beta mu 2 minus alpha mu 1 is equal to gamma mu 2 minus gamma mu 1, or beta mu 2 minus alpha mu 1 is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 into gamma. And children, I am going to use the same approximation that we used before, that for small angles theta is equal to tan theta. So I will say here, for small theta, theta is nearly equal to tan theta. I am going to make use of this approximation, and then beta will be replaced by what? Tan beta, alpha will be replaced by tan alpha, and gamma will be replaced by tan gamma. So what do we get? Mu 2 tan beta minus mu 1 tan alpha is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 tan gamma. Clear? And now we will put the values of these tangents. Mu 2 into tan beta. Tan beta is going to be mn divided by ni minus mu 1 into tan alpha. Tan alpha will equal to mn divided by no is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 tan gamma is equal to mn divided by nc. So what I will do, children, I will be striking out mn from both sides, cancelling mn, and I will be replacing n with p. So what do you get here? Mu 2 divided by pi minus mu 1 divided by po is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 divided by pc. And if we look at the sign convention and distance, see children, pc is the radius of curvature, pi is v and po is u. Children, interestingly enough, all the three distances are located where? On the left. For example, pi is equal to how much? Minus v. Let us write down here, pi is equal to minus v. Next is po. Po is on the left, that is equal to how much? Minus u. And similarly pc is equal to minus r. All these quantities are negative. So if I put it here, children, how much do I get? Mu 2 divided by minus v minus mu 1 divided by minus u is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 by minus r. And then we multiply all by minus 1. So all this minus becomes what? Plus. So what do we get? we get mu 2 by v minus mu 1 by u is equal to mu 2 minus mu 1 by r. And this is the formula we got. Our equation basically remains the same, whether it is a convex curved surface or whether it is a concave curved surface. The only precaution you have to take is that when the object is in the denser medium, then you have to interchange mu 1 and mu 2 and you will get the next case. Okay. So, go through this derivation. We will be seeing a small numerical on this once you finish it.